Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. And let's say hello to a few of our dear friends that we appreciate so much. Kevin, good morning. And Jen, from Cape Breton, Rosalinda, good morning. And Brahim, our dear friend. Mike from Norman. Brahim is from Portland. Kathy, good morning. Nick from our staff. Andrea, Niagara Falls, good morning. And Mary, good morning. Wendy, good morning. How are you? Wanda from Virginia. Tina, Nova Scotia. John from Elgin, Illinois. Sandy, good morning. Chilliwack, British Columbia. Day 2, I think, of your reset, right? And Jeanette, good morning from our staff. Linda, Nellie, Barbara, Atlanta. And Larry, Bancroft. Fran, Orangeville, good morning. Micheline, Sturgeon Falls. Deb, good morning. Chantal, bonjour. Catherine, Parksville, British Columbia. Sherry, I want to sing. Sue, Jeanette, Marilyn, good morning. Edmonton, Diane, LaSalle, Adeline, good morning. And Stephanie, and we appreciate you. Francis, Aaron, North Bay, Joanne, good morning. Thea, how is you? Karen, Sault Ste. Marie, Jane, Sweets, how are you? Sandra from Aurelia, Georgie from Halifax, Nova Scotia, Luella, West Tennessee, Sylvie, North Bay, and Rita, good morning. And Donna from Park Hill, good morning. Maria, and Heather, Miramachi, Yolande, bonjour. Deanna, and Sandy, good morning. Couple more, well, let's get going. Shirley in beautiful Newfoundland, Joanne, and Jody, and Len and Judy from Edmonton, Alberta. Moncton, Carol, St. Albert, Alberta, Winan, I think. Kadutu, I get that wrong every time. Deb and Deborah, Oklahoma. Jerry, Dottie, New Brunswick. Okay, Carol, Newfoundland, and Carolyn, good morning. Okay, couple of studies here I want to bring to you this morning. Okay, couple of studies I want to bring to you this morning. One of them, brand new study, 25-year-long study on water. Actually, 2 studies on water that came out, but let me just pontificate a little bit about water. Now, you guys know me. I have classified water as a vitamin. And it really belongs there because you can't live without water, right? And, but the vast majority of people are dehydrated. And this 25-year study, they had thousands of participants. And they looked at people and they said this, okay? Here's the headlines of this study. 25-year study reported by the NIH in The Lancet. Okay, so the journal had this story. And dehydration is linked to early aging and chronic disease. Hello? Dehydration is linked to early aging and chronic disease. Okay? So there's another reason, guys, on the reset, we talk about forming habits. One of the best habits you will form, if you're not used to this, is drinking water. You know what I want you to drink on the reset? Water and coffee. And I mean it. It is so important to drink water, and only water is water. You cannot substitute. Oh, Dr. Martin, there's water in watermelon. I know there's water in watermelon. But it's not the same when it comes to hydrating. I always teach this. Water, when you drink water on its own, it takes a direct route to your bloodstream. It gets there without, like Monopoly, without passing go. It doesn't have to be processed. It just whoosh, right into your bloodstream. And guys, that is essential for your health. People walk around because they don't have a little light bulb on their head that tells them they're dehydrated. They don't drink water. They drink everything else. There's water in coffee, right? It takes water to make coffee. What would you say? 95% of coffee is water? And coffee is very good for you. Vitamin C, and I mean that too, the real one. I want people to develop habits. I used to tell my patients in the office, listen, you got blood as thick as molasses, and I want you to start drinking water. Now that was usually to men. Some women are usually much better at drinking water than men are. Men don't like the taste of water. Doc, I don't like water. I didn't say you had to like it. It's a vitamin. You need it. Okay? You need it. And research after research after research is confirming what I've been saying for a long time. And again, only water is water. Now, let me just say this before we unpack this study a little wee bit. How much water do you need? How do I know this, by the way? Okay, well, I was in practice with real patients for almost 50 years, okay? So I think I get to tell you what I think. And the gurus in water, consumption, and there are some, will tell you, and I tell you what the sweet spot is. You need 64 ounces or 2 liters of water a day. Okay? How much? Water, 2 liters, 64 ounces for my American friends. Okay? That's how much water you need on average. Not less. Not less. Maybe more. Okay? Maybe more. But that is water, 64 ounces or 2 liters. That's the sweet spot. Okay? So if you have to, measure it out. And I'm telling you why I'm so confident in those numbers. Not only my experience in the past, but I can tell you from tens of thousands of patients who were dehydrated, immediate results with water. They couldn't believe it. And then, like I said, one of the reasons for the reset, going past 3 weeks, is we want to form healthy habits. And I had thousands of people who never drank water or just a little bit, getting used to drinking 2 liters of water a day, and they couldn't get over how much better they felt. There's nothing better for your circulation, for your heart, for your brain, blood supply. You got over 60,000 miles of blood vessels. It's the river of life. A river, think about it. It needs to flow. Now, if you don't drink water, what happens? Your heart has to work harder. Your heart's a pump. It's a pump. And besides that, think about this for a second. Your heart is an electrical grid. What produces electricity, my friend? What produces electricity? I don't know much. Okay? But I know that. You need water. Why do you think Niagara Falls is such a powerful place to produce energy? Electricity. Power. Your heart is a grid. Your brain is a grid. And vitamin W is essential. Think about it. Why do we see so many people today with atrial fib? Okay? I'm going to bring you a side story in a second. Why do we see so many people today with atrial fibrillation? I don't know, Doc. Why? Well, that's when the electricity gets out of kilter. Okay? Person goes into AFib. Very dangerous. One of the factors is dehydration. The other factor is, okay, you ready? A lack of steak. That's why we see so much AFib today. Because your heart's a muscle too. It's an electrical grid and it's a muscle. And you know what's in those muscles? Mitochondria. And you know what makes the mitochondria of your heart muscles work? CoQ10. Okay? And CoQ10, you increase your CoQ10 to your heart muscle by eating vitamin S, steak. I want you to eat your CoQ10. You don't get CoQ10 increased when you eat vegetables or fruit. I'm sorry. Water. Increase your CoQ10 by eating vitamin S. Okay, now, here's another study. Oh, let me go to the side study about atrial fib. Okay, this is just a side study. I want to do a whole program on it, but let me just get the headline. Okay, this is a headline. Lancet, okay, again, we go back to Lancet, the journal, opens an investigation to this is the headline, to the 10th largest selling drug in the world called Xarelto. It's a blood thinner given to people with atrial fibrillation. Because when you get AFib, you're much more susceptible to having a stroke or a heart attack. Stroke. So what they want to do is thin your blood. They should give you water. But they don't talk about water. But anyways, here's what's happening at the Lancet. The Lancet says that the makers of Xarelto fudged their findings on side effects of Xarelto, which is the 10th biggest selling drug in the world. it made the top 10. They fudged. When it got past the FDA, they fudged their research. And they were interviewing in this article a guy from McMaster. They were part of it. And he said, we had no idea. We didn't see the side effects, apparently, in other studies. He said, we weren't aware of them. Now, let me tie these things together. How could a drug given to people to thin their blood, how could it get to number 10 on the hit parade? How could it get to number 10 in terms of sales? Because again, today, the vast majority of people are dehydrated. Today, the vast majority of people don't eat enough red meat to get your CoQ10 levels up to affect the heart muscle. And what do we have today? A disaster called atrial fibrillation. I believe 2 reasons. 1, dehydration. 2, a lack of strength in the muscle of the heart, the mitochondria, which needs CoQ10. And of course, there's another drug that's famous for lowering levels of CoQ10. What is that? I'm asking, you guys should know this. What drug, classification of drugs, lowers CoQ10? Let me see. Somebody give me the answer, because yes, star. You got it, star. And you are a star. Star. Marnie, so are you. Carol, so are you. Elaine, lipids, yeah. Georgie, you got it. What classification of drugs? Cecilia, my audience, you guys, Nellie, Gary, Lorna, you're so smart, Slavanda, and Sandra, and you guys are the smartest audience in the world. I'm telling you. Here we are in 2023, and you have been named, okay? You have been named on the all-star team for health. Why? Because you're smart. You know the answers. You know me, I like to question. My whole idea in teaching is question. Ask questions. Okay? Ask questions. I'm a why guy. Why is this happening? Why, like, when I see obesity, this is the other study on water. That's why I want to come back to it. But when I see with my eyeballs the world changing right in front of me, we talked about this yesterday, the tripling of obesity rates. And my question is, why? Why? Okay? And when you get the why, you know, we talked about it, high fructose corn syrup, the changing of the guard from glucose to fructose in a liquid form, the Frankenstein of sugars. The Franken-sugar. How do you like that? Or the Antichrist of sugars, which I've called it in several books. The high fructose corn syrup scam. The world got sucked in to this. So here we have A study on water. Something as simple as water. Okay? Now, I'm big on dehydration. Okay? Because I used to measure it in my office. One of the first things we did was looked at the viscosity of blood. And the vast majority of people, if you're on, listen to me, if you're on any medication, you're going to be dehydrated, even more than normal. Any med dehydrates you. And what's the numbers? When you get into 65 years old and up, what is it? 90% or more of the population are on medication, some kind of medication, including Xarelto, including statin drugs. I think it's 80% of the population over 65 get put on a statin drug. How would you like to be in that business? How would you have liked to have gotten shares in the 1980s on Lipitor? The number one selling drug of all time in terms of revenues. Looking for love in all the wrong places. I'm a big guy on water, guys. Because dehydration is a big issue, and now studies are starting to talk about it. Like, yeah, it ages you pretty quickly, and chronic diseases are very much associated with dehydration. Guys, if you can twist somebody's arm to start drinking water, and only water and coffee, what a wonderful habit that will be. Now, for you teetotalers out there, okay, you can have some tea. Okay? Because some people come on and they tell me, Doc, I just don't like coffee. I feel sorry for you. You're never going to get the real vitamin C, but okay. I'll give you tea. But I want you to drink water. Now, here's the other study. Okay? Here's the other study on water. Water and obesity. Water and obesity. Here's what happens inside the body. When we talked about yesterday how we get obese. And the biggest factor, how does a bear prepare for winter? Hibernation. How does a bear prepare for hibernation? Fructose. A very specific sugar. Fructose. And fructose is wonderful. But not high fructose corn syrup, because that's a liquid fructose. We talked about that. That will bring on obesity. It brings obesity on steroids fast, because it goes directly to the liver and it packs up those fat cells rapidly. Fructose. And look, God, I said this yesterday, God meant you to eat fruit, not drink it. Now, when you're trying to lose weight, okay, you lay off God's candies. Don't eat too many of them. I'm not saying you can't have a few berries or whatever. For 30 days on the reset, we don't have any fructose. We don't allow it. But I have a reason for it. And I'm not against fructose. If you eat a fruit, okay. Not during the reset. But afterwards, you have a fruit. You know, an apple a day does not keep the doctor away. Okay? That was for the 1950s when people were skinny, and those days are over. It's a steak a day keeps the doctor away, okay? And I ain't joking. And 64 ounces of water a day, or 2 liters of water a day keeps the doctor away. Now, guys, how long have I been saying that? Okay? Somebody's asking how much water. No, sorry. What kind of water? Well, the best is spring water. Okay? Because it's mineralized. Okay? So I like spring water. But if you're going to, part of dehydration, and I don't even know if I'll have time to get into it today, but part of dehydration is salt. Okay? Is salt. And that's, let me follow through this, okay? This is a new study that was done on obesity. Okay? So let me go to this, okay? So here's what it says, okay? And when people are obese, they're severely dehydrated, okay? And it's the chicken or the egg. What comes first? Well, look, think of fat, okay? Let's go back to hibernation for the bear to give you an illustration. When the bear, okay, goes into hibernation, they don't eat at all, right? They don't eat. They built up their fat big time. And what they do in hibernation is they burn their fat in the wintertime. That's how they survive. Their metabolism slows to a crawl. And they burn fat. They got fat by fructose. But the other thing that they hold on to, when a fat bear holds on to all its water. It doesn't sweat off water. It doesn't even urinate. I didn't even know that, but they hardly urinate. They don't get rid of any water. They hold on to it. And that's what fat. If you take fat, remember I don't have it with me, but remember that 5 pounds of fat? Okay? Picture it in your mind. It's about a foot long and about 6 inches wide. So when someone tells you, oh, Dr. Martin, I only lost 5 pounds. Holy moly. You have no idea how good that is for you. But if you look at fat, okay, what's fat? Okay? Well, fat has a lot of water in it. So this study on obesity says, an obese person, one, is very dehydrated because their fat is holding on to water. And they're not drinking enough, so dehydration makes you fatter, and the fatter you are, the more water you hold on to. Like a bear. So this study was saying, do you know that water helps you to lose weight? Just by drinking 64 ounces or 2 liters of water a day. Now guys, look, you can drink all the water in the world. If you don't change your habits, your diet, you can't hydrate, water a bad diet. Okay? So, but this study and other studies have shown that water is fabulous. Now, when should one drink water? Oh, by the way, let me say this. I got to tell you this, because part of this study was, okay, I don't want to forget it, is that when your body holds on to fat, it's holding on to water, and when the body senses it's dehydrated, you know what it does? Your own body produces more fructose, even without eating. Your body produces more fructose. Because when you got fat cells, the salt concentration in your blood goes up when you're dehydrated. You release a hormone called vasopressin, Pressin, vasopressin, which holds on to even more water. And if you hold on to even more water, your body increases its fructose to hold on to even more water. You bloat. It's a vicious cycle. Imagine your own body produces even more fructose to make you fatter when you're dehydrated. That's what this study is saying. That's why they're saying just by drinking water, you're helping your insulin resistance. You're helping obesity. You're helping. Is it everything? No. Think what it's doing for your heart. Think what it's doing for your brain. Think what it's doing for your joints. Water. Think what it's doing for your skin. You need water. And again, I need to emphasize this. Only water is water. Now there's an inexpensive. Now I never thought, as a kid, born in the 1950s, where my sports drink was a water hose. Okay, when we played sports as little kids and we were dying of thirst, or playing hide and seek or hide and seek or whatever we played, and we played a lot of sports as a kid. I just loved sports. And I would die and we would run to a hose. That was our sports drink. Okay. If you'd have told me as a kid, you're going to spend money on water, I would have thought you were crazy. What? Water's free. Even if it's not my own hose, I'd go to the neighbor's hose and drink their water. I didn't care. Okay. That was my sports drink. But guys, listen. I didn't even get into salt, because salt is part of dehydration. It really is. Okay? And that's one of the reasons that dehydration will up your blood pressure. It's very hard on your heart. Sugar, especially high fructose corn syrup, very, very bad. It makes you fat. It makes you sick. And water is important. Did you get the memo? Now I know you guys drink water. And how many people who are watching this morning had to learn that habit of drinking water? And then once you got past about the third week, which is Human Psychology 101, you realize how stinking thirsty you are. Don't wait for your thirst mechanism, but you will create almost like a light bulb that will go off if you start drinking water. By the time you get to the third week, I used to tell my patients this, by the time you get to week 3, you'll realize I was right about water. And let me just say this. I never, ever saw a patient that suffered from headaches. Now, there's reasons for headaches, right? hormonal hormones. Okay? Too much estrogen in women, migraines from hormones. But one thing I saw, and it was consistent. People who suffer with headaches are dehydrated. They're dehydrated. And it may not be everything, but it's a big, big factor in headaches. Okay? And you got to teach kids. Let me close with this. You know, because parents ask me every day, Doc, what about milk for my kids? How about water for your kids? Wean kids on water. Soon as they're done breastfeeding, start them drinking water. They'll get used to it. They'll like it. They'll love it. Don't introduce juice to kids. Don't introduce milk to kids. They don't need no milk. Okay? I'm not against dairy. Let them eat their dairy. They don't need to drink it. Especially store-bought milk today. Now, if you're a farmer and you're giving them whole milk, okay, I'm all right with that. Okay, guys. Okay, I can breathe. Okay, guys, we love you guys more than you know. More than you know. And what is Friday? Question and answer Friday. So get your questions in. Okay? We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.